Hello, my name is Dr. Ronald Wright. I am the director of the Alpha program and have been for the last 40 years. It is a self-help program in our community. The closing of the detention center in Baltimore City was only the tip of the iceberg. If you have been a victim of a crime, you live in Baltimore City, you are a property owner, or if you're a concerned parent, this video will be helpful to you. I'd like to take a moment and share with you about the number of people that have used the Alpha program. First off, the Alpha program was said to be a model for the state of Maryland. Agencies such as Child Protective Services, Social Services, Public Defender's Office, Baltimore County Task, DEA, FBI, Parole and Probation, Motor Vehicles Administration, Baltimore County school employees, and many attorneys have used the Alpha program. Some of my students have come as far from Calvert County, Ocean City, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. The Alpha program has been in existence for 40 years in this community. It was started by a young man who came to me and asked if I could get a program started for the people who could not find insurance. Along with some of the politicians, Senator Norman Stone and some of the others in the Annapolis, we were able to take to the state of Maryland the information about the Alpha program. I was invited to Annapolis under the Ehrlich administration, had the privilege of meeting him, and he sent his representative down to the Alpha program that spent the afternoon and was amazed at what the Alpha program could do without taking any money from the state or local government. Mrs. Frazier spent about 5 hours with us, and her remarks was that the Alpha program could be a model for the state of Maryland. We have had issues, however, with Baltimore County since we purchased the land some 45 years ago. The land in question that is right now debatable is who owns a parcel of land that's on this new builder's map, the developer's map. I received this letter as of August the 25th, 2015, and it is from Amy Hicks Grossi. I would like to address her letter by using this video. Your letter states that the people viewed on YouTube about the property of the church being taken by local government. You also said that at a meeting, you requested the Merritt Park Baptist Church to bring in deeds showing you that we owned the property. And I would like to also state that that is not a true fact. When we came into your office, it was someone there believing, I think it was you, that said that we don't have the files going back that far. Your letter also says that the representatives refused to give you any documents. We are not refusing to give you documents. I shared with you in my fax to you that the local government is not as transparent as many people believe it to be. I will be happy to show and send to the Justice Department copies of the deeds for the church. I think it's important that people do realize that for the last 35 years, off and on, we have had our issues with Baltimore County. And it was about programs for people who needed programs that were indigent. I spoke to fathers and mothers that were spending their last dime to put their children through treatment programs when they should have been paid for by the county or by the state. The biggest user of our program was Parole and Probation in the Dundalk, Essex area. Over the past 40 years, literally thousands have come to our program receiving assistance. The Alpha program never received any state or federal money. We were always operating on our own, helping those who needed help. What I am about to share with you has been documented over a 40-year period. You will find this information disturbing, and for most of you, it will be hurtful. What I'm about to share with you is that many of the people that have died on the streets of Baltimore in the state of Maryland, many of them could have been saved had the individuals I'm about to mention did the job the way they were supposed to do it. The agencies involved, in a moment I will also give names of the agency, names of the agencies along with the supervisors. Parole and Probation, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, the Department of Motor Vehicle Administration, and Baltimore County. In the O'Malley administration, Attorney General Douglas Gansler was advised of all of the information I'm about to share with you, as so was Martin O'Malley. The only person that I found that was helpful and understood the problem, who is no longer with the Department of Health or Mental Hygiene as an Assistant Attorney General, is Mrs. Francis. Mrs. Francis knew that there was a problem. In emails, she simply had stated that she wanted out, that she was caught in the middle. I was told soon after that email came to her that was sent from her to another person, that she left the agency and retired. The agencies now are represented by two Assistant Attorney Generals. Assistant Attorney General Kathleen Morris is representing the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, and Miss Susan Barron is the Assistant to the Attorney General for Parole and Probation. It is my personal opinion that I'm sharing with the public today to remember the two names of these assistants to the Attorney General. Because of gross negligence, I would strongly recommend the Governor of Maryland to terminate their positions and, if possible, look into corruption. The reason that I am sharing this video today is because not of any fame for YouTube, but because it is my responsibility to share with you, the citizens of Maryland, especially in the Dundalk and Essex area, the travesties that have happened because of individuals and their need for self-gain. My problem started 4.5 years ago by simply sending an email request to the Department of Parole and Probation in the Dundalk area. I asked how a multiple offender for DUI arrest could bypass treatment and be employed at the Minix restaurant. That ignited a fire that ended in retaliation and ended in me looking at all of my files. I found that she was not the only one, that Parole and Probation had been dumping cases for many years. The people involved from Parole and Probation are as follows: Secretary Gary Maynard, Director Ernest Eli, Regional Supervisor Joseph Clocker, Regional Supervisor Pat Vale, Supervisor of Dundalk and Essex, who is now retired, Thomas McGrain, Supervisor in Essex, Mr. Paul McGowan. And I would like to share that these are the people who are responsible for many of the issues that I'm speaking about today, one being gross negligence. I'd also like to share with you the other agency involved is the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. People in that area that knew what I'm about to report to you was Secretary Joshua Sharfstein, Director Kathleen Franklin, Director Donald Hall, who was in charge of quality care, Jackie Arthur, who was in charge also of quality care. The probation department was filing and is filing false reports to judges and also to the Department of Motor Vehicles. They have been dumping cases or closing out cases of repeat offenders for years. And I have information that I will share with you that clearly indicates that their negligence in closing some of these cases out and not doing as they should be doing has caused the lives of 3 individual people that I know. The Department of Health and Mental Hygiene sent to our church a cease and desist order demanding that the program be closed down. Baltimore County, the person that sent the cease and desist order was Kathleen Franklin, who also at one time was employed by Baltimore County. Another by the name of Jackie Arthur, she works for the quality control for the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, was also a past employee of Baltimore County. She reported that our church had zoning issues. Not one time has any of my complaints been viewed by anyone in state or local government. Mrs. Francis was the only one that seemed to understand that there was a problem and run into some opposition with some of her peers, I'm sure. Now for the Motor Vehicle Administration. The Motor Vehicle Administration has been set up with a monopoly, where the driving schools are now taking all of the first-time offenders and teaching them alcohol education. That was set up by Mrs. Arthur from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, taking away the teaching from all of the other students, all the other teachers that have been teaching for well over 30 years. Mr. Kraft, knowing that the reports were coming into Motor Vehicle Administration where people did not complete their treatment or even went to treatment, did not investigate, to my knowledge, my complaint to him, and DUI offenders continue to drive. From the Motor Vehicle Administration, I share with you that the problems with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, the Department of Parole and Probation, should be investigated. They should have their jobs terminated, and if at all possible, many of them should be incarcerated. For the gross negligence, the cover-up that they did for themselves so the public would not be aware of public safety issues, office of abuse, abuse of power, using the color of law to hide the truth, lying to the public, lying to the judges, falsifying reports to other agencies in the state, setting up an enterprise within the MVA, collecting money for the state. The parole and probation seems to be collecting more money for the state now when offenders come in than they are trying to find the help that they need. And one of the other important things that we need to look at is why they decided to destroy the Alpha program and Dr. Wright. I share with you some information that I have sent personally to state agencies. The information went from low-key supervisors all the way up to Governor Martin O'Malley. Also, copies had gone to the Justice Department. Now, you will often hear the word certification. Certification simply means treatment. After I filed the complaint against parole and probation, word went out that I was operating an illegal treatment program. I have a document here dated 10/31/11, and this has been going on for the last 4.5 years, from Joseph Clocker stating the Alpha program has worked in the community for 30 years. They are not treatment. They help people to find treatment. Every individual person that came into our program received a copy of a treatment list. This is the list of the every treatment program in the area where people came from Baltimore County, Dundalk, or Essex. When I found that one person did not go to treatment that should have been in treatment, I sent an email and a letter to a supervisor by the name of Richard Watchner. He is in the Dundalk area. I shared with him that there were some discrepancies in individual people coming to programs and never returning. He ignored my request, and I then filed with the state for them to do an audit on the Dundalk, Essex area. It is my understanding, because an audit was done, that there was a meeting with supervisors, and on the day of the meeting, there was Thomas McGrain, a supervisor, and I understand that Pat Vale, regional supervisor, was there, and Mr. Watchner. It was told to me by email that agents will come forward in the parole and probation department and state that they overheard an argument where the state agreed if Mr. Watchner would leave quietly his position, that they would destroy the Alpha program and Dr. Wright. The problem that we were having with parole and probation after a period of time, we were finding out that repeat offenders were simply released. This is an affidavit dated December 6, 2012. The individual says that he came into my office, he had 3 DWIs and was advised by a driver safety alcohol education program that he only had to do a 12-hour program. COMAR guidelines required that individual to do at least a 3-month program. He needed an evaluation. He was charged $100 for the evaluation and $300 for his classes. He was told that the MVA would monitor him for 90 days, and he was also he would call the agency an abuse center. The person that he spoke to was a Gary Harding, and it was he that informed this defendant that he only had to do a 12-hour education program. The problem that we have is that first offenders possibly could go to a 12-hour education program. But the issue is that they have worked it out within the system that individuals will go to a driving school for a 12-hour education program. Then they're going to be sent to another treatment program, which is owned by the same driving schools, I understand. And this is something that needs to be investigated. The real issue comes down is when these cases are closed out and the offenders want to go back and they want to get a driver's license. The Department of Motor Vehicles is accepting from individual probation agents files that says the defendant has completed treatment, and they will put a treatment name on that doesn't even exist. I warned motor vehicles about this. To my knowledge, that has not been looked into. In fact, in the last 4.5 years, all of my complaints about catastrophic events happening has fallen to deaf ears. I shared with the governor of Maryland a certified letter, and I shared with him that there would be catastrophic events taking place if these cases would continue to be dropped. It was on November 26, 2012, after I had shared with the state, with every person I possibly could, that events were going to be catastrophic, and I started documenting them. The little girl's name was Lily Kelly. She was 3 years old. She was killed by a drunk driver. That drunk driver was also killed. But that drunk driver was one of the students that I had in my class, and I know that her mother and I was trying to find treatment for her, and there was no treatment available. Lily Kelly could be alive today had the parole and probation done their job. On November the 28th, 2012, I sent a letter to the Honorable Martin O'Malley explaining to him in detail about the events that were unfolding because of cases being dropped, and he ignored that complaint. Then on June the 9th, 2013, a little girl by the name of Cami Ring was raped, beaten, and strangled to death. And the state knew that these kind of cases would start to appear. It is my understanding that the person that killed this child was on probation and never supervised. And I had warned the Department of Parole and Probation about these events taking place, and they simply would not listen to me, and the catastrophic events continued to occur. The next one that we have a document of, July the 24th, 2013, we had shared with the state of Maryland that I have complained for the last 26 months about the Division of Parole and Probation and about repeat offenders being let go and court orders not being followed. I shared with them about forms that were being filled out by parole and probation. Everything that I shared with them fell to deaf ears. Then we had an incident happen where on October the 28th, 2013, Mr. Joseph Clocker, Director of Community Supervision Central Region, was notified that I was aware that he and his agency was going to attempt to tear apart and destroy the Alpha program that has helped so many people, and also the character of Dr. Ronald Wright. He ignored the letter, and he continued to have his agents under him share with people untrue facts. And then on May of 2014, a young man by the name of Joseph Scholl, who was in my class, reportedly stabbed a lady. His case has not gone to court yet, 32 times and taken her life. And I have documents showing that we have filed paper after paper for these young people to get the treatment that they needed. My issues really started when I had a disagreement with Sonny Minnick, the delegate. Now, this is the same man that would come to our church. He would ask for votes, request money. He would want us to attend his affairs, and there was no problem with that until I asked a question about a vendor working at his restaurant. From that time on, Mr. Minnick and I have been at odds. In fact, he shares an email with one person in the community who went to delete it, and it was sent to all. In that video, in that email, Mr. Minnick says that I have problems. I only tell a part of the story. And when I spoke to him about his remarks, he said, "You burnt your bridge with me." My remark to Mr. Minnick was he hasn't seen a bridge burnt until I decide to burn one. He burnt the bridge with a relationship with the Merritt Park Baptist Church and members of the community for outright lying about the program here at Merritt Park Baptist Church. So because this went on, what happened was when I asked about why they were working at his place, this person, one supervisor had to be retired, and out of retaliation for that, they promised to destroy the Alpha program, a 40-year program that's helped individual people find jobs, get educations, to finish their GED program, burying people. Ask anyone what the Alpha program has done for them, and they will tell you that this program has always been 100% for the people. So this is how this system works because of going against a delegate by the name of Sonny Minnick. If you offend somebody in government, the retaliation can be severe. The parole and probation was looking for a scapegoat. They chose me and the Alpha program as being their scapegoat. They went to the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, those names I also gave to you, and they conjured up a story that they were going to tell people that we were operating an illegal treatment program. We didn't have to be certified because we were not a treatment program. But the community and everybody else in the courts listened to these lies, and I had a difficult time trying to convince people that our program had not changed. In fact, as of right now, we still have the program open. We're still operating the program. People are still coming in, and it's never been closed. The cease and desist order that they sent to the church, Mrs. Franklin sent that cease and desist order only to aggravate me and aggravate members of the church. She never once enforced the cease and desist order. I could never go and face my accusers. I could never see anything other than this cease and desist order that I had to follow. Donald Hall from the same agency had sent a letter that we could be fined $10,000, and Jackie Arthur from the same agency, she went and told lies to her supervisors about zoning issues. So why were they covering up for parole and probation? Because parole and probation did not have programs to send to these people, so they had to dump the cases. And by dumping the cases, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene had no other recourse but to go and help parole and probation because they were dropping the ball for programs in the area. The Department of Motor Vehicles had no choice but to back up parole and probation about the false reports going about people going to treatment because they were involved in their own operation, getting a driving school to have a monopoly in the state of Maryland where they were the only 12-hour program. So you've got every agency working within one another, and you've got a politician that is resentful for anyone saying anything to him about why something should or should not be when public safety is an issue. Every one of these people that I mentioned, every one of them, did not care that that 3-year-old died. They did not show any remorse. They did not send out any memos. They waited. The second child died. The lady was stabbed 32 times, and they still have not made any motion whatsoever of correcting the errors of their way. It is still going on. If everyone looked in their community, every house broke into, every time that somebody gets robbed on the street or there's a DUI that kills somebody, get the name, find out if it's a first offender. You're going to find out that it's not. Baltimore City is in a dilemma right now where they haven't got enough programs, and the people who are asking for more money because we are a heroin addicted state, that they want this money to go for treatment. Here's my challenge to the people of Maryland. Find out who is on the addicted council that's asking for this money, and you will probably find out, and this is my opinion, that they are part of the programs that the individual can get involved with, called the methadone programs. So if this committee goes to the governor and says, we got a heroin problem, they got all these issues, and they're crying for more money, it's the same group of people that you're going to find that are part owners or part of, in some way, these treatment centers, and it's an ongoing thing. So if you're going to investigate parole and probation, investigate the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, and investigate the Department of Motor Vehicles, because they are all working together. The state of Maryland, it is not as safe as many people think that it is. It is as corrupt today as it was during the O'Malley administration. And we need to change that and stand up and simply say, I want my voice heard. What I would like to say to all of you who are listening to this video, whether you live in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, or anywhere in the state of Maryland, public safety is an issue. You need to stand up, be vocal, document every DUI accident, every death that's occurred. Look into it. Ask Governor Hogan if he will do an investigation. I will supply his agency boxfuls of information that will show that the individual people that I mentioned in this video should be investigated. All should be terminated, in my opinion. And if possible, a grand jury investigation and indictments should follow. This has been going on for over 4.5 years, and if it's happening in this small community, I can assure Baltimore City, for example, the agencies that are supposed to be helping the people in Baltimore City are not receiving the help that they need. They're put into probation, they probably go in one door and out the other and receive no help whatsoever. The crime that's happening all over Maryland, this crime is not by first offenders. I'm going to ask you to help me to hold these people responsible for making sure our streets are safe. And I'll ask you to stand up and contact Governor Hogan, contact your politician in your area, and let's put an end to these people holding state and local jobs and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Thank you very much. Again, Dr. Wright from the Alpha Program, Baltimore County, Maryland. Thank you.